I was nonetheless, so what I actually found out was that I was going to be going to Drexel University in Philly, and I was going to be the stand-in for one of my heroes, Julius Erving. I was going to, here I was, this guy, 6'6", but I was going to be used in a commercial. Julius Erving owned some Coca-Cola dealerships.
Okay.
And I was going to be his stand-in. In other words, while they set lights and cameras and different things, I was going to be his stand-in.
Wow.
So, I mean, you can imagine how I felt when I was, there I was in Penn Station meeting the other actor that was going to be he was the actual principal in the commercial. And there we were headed down to Philly.
Oh, man.
For an overnight stay, and on the weekend we were going to be actually filming this commercial in at Drexel University in the gym. I was going to meet Julius Erving. I mean,
oh my God! Now you didn't have to guard him, did
totally
you?
Ecstatic.
Did you have to guard him?
No, I didn't have to guard him. I mean, but I can't tell you what type of when people speak about Julius, the doctor, I can tell you firsthand, what a classy man this guy is. I mean,
wow, really?
It was incredible, absolutely incredible, and I was supposed to be his stand-in, and literally found myself kind of, he's supposed to be in his trailer, so to speak. Half the time he's out, he's talking to people on the set, different things like that. Didn't really see himself as above or anybody else that was around on the set. But it was my first time on a commercial set. Learning all the terms. Oh, what's an AD? Oh, the AD is the assistant director. He's the guy that's going to actually sign your, So all of that, and the fascination with, now. Oh yeah, this is actually a union job. And finding out about the Screen Actors Guild and what that meant, and how you actually go about literally getting your Screen Actors Guild card. All of it was just so new, so fascinating, so again, and I thought of myself just as like a kid in a candy store.
Wow,
this is some crazy industry, so different from the industry I was accustomed to, which is, again, I was, the trade, electrical tools, blueprints, just so different. Even the people, that again, you find yourself around tradespeople, you find yourself around carpenters, you find yourself around tin knockers, you find yourself around different tradespeople. Whereas now I'm like around people that are actual actors,
Now,
directors.
when you first started out and you worked as an electrician and trying to get this up and running and doing the commercial work and the voiceover, I'm sure you put in long hours and you were doing things at night and on weekends. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, this was just where you literally found yourself, my dad, to this day, God bless him, he's 90, he's going to be 90. But he always encouraged me, learn a trade, you'll always be able to support yourself. So I didn't look down on the thought of having a trade, being an electrician. I actually always wanted to get my license, but I was always kind of fascinated with, the different things that, that revolve around, so to speak, this other world that I was discovering. So, now you find yourself, I would actually find myself sometimes, lunchtime, oh man, I can actually send out 15, pictures and resumes. So, you find yourself taking your material, bringing my stuff, to work. There I am with my envelopes. People like, and the guys were like so curious, but they thought it was fascinating too. Like, why is this guy? He's making money as an electrician. Why is he like so? That in and of itself. When
and
you
the
come
guys
home,
aren't gonna bust on you too much since you're like 6'6" and in good shape. That helps.
Well, they kind of look at it and they say, you kind of figured you're an electrician. You kind of, able to handle yourself, this and that. But then they look and you're talking about, acting. It's like such a far cry from the trade world.
Yeah, I'll bet.
But then that's part of the fascination. You begin to see a different world, and it's attractive. You're like, wow, this is different. And at the time, again, it's commercial acting at the time. It wasn't even, people that actually went to Juilliard to study music. I mean, you go to different places to study acting.
Well, speaking of that, it's like having a niche and having a way about yourself. I know you told me you did something for Len Berman, the sportscaster. What was that again?
Yeah, I think this was a booking that I got. It was actually NBC, and I remember that this was in the very early days of what they actually today call chroma key. And Len Berman was the guy that used to do, in his sports broadcast, he used to do this thing, Let's Go Spanning the Globe. And NBC did a commercial, which they actually filmed right downtown in the Village, and they actually did it against a handball court. So they were looking for a young, guy that, played hoops, kind of looked like a neighborhood guy, and I ended up booking the job. So they actually show me coming into a playground, and I would actually, using a basketball, by bouncing the ball against the handball court wall, which now became the chroma key screen. Every time I would bounce the ball into the wall, that screen would change to some of these distant places that Len Berman was talking about in his introduction. I believe this was one of the very first very popular chroma key commercials where they can literally blank, and in this case they blanked out the handball court. That became the screen. And I can't tell you how fascinated and how excited I was at the time to be the young actor, the basketball player going into the handball court, to do that. It was really incredible. And then, of course, to have that commercial with Len Berman's voice in the background, Let's Go Spanning the Globe, incredible. Yeah,
it's really good. So now you're this young athletic guy. You're able to do these fitness things, and I think you've done ads for a lot of different athletic things. But when did the younger guys come along and start taking those ads? What I mean?
What actually happened, where this thing kind of took a very distinct turn, was when I began to realize that I would go on commercial auditions. I would sometimes, you even get auditions for sometimes what they call under 5-on-5s, where you actually have under 5 lines or 5 words, sometimes even in soap operas. What happened was I began to find that I would book jobs, but then I didn't get the job, which means that someone said, yeah, let's use this guy, but then when the decision actually has to be made, someone else would. And I turned around and I started to ask some questions, and I realized I was getting sized out. In other words, at 6'6", a lot of times you're taller than everybody else that's going to be in that commercial or in that scene, so they can't use you. You. So I that's when everything kind of started to narrow down, where I found myself doing specifically sports-oriented stuff, and that's when someone kind of, like that guy, the heckler in the back of the movie theater, yells out, hey, you got a pretty good voice. You should do voiceover.
Yeah.
That's kind of like where some of the agents started to say, hey, exactly, you got a nice voice. Why don't you try voiceover? And that was the door.
Wow. So, all right, we want to get into that. I want to hear, we're going to have a little bit of your work during the show. So I think we're going to go for a commercial break, and then out of the commercial, you folks are going to hear Garfield, and then we'll chat again. So here we go. We're heading off to commercial.
Okay.
With video games, I'm often choosing between what my kids want and what I think is best for them.
Hey, Mom, how about this one?
Rated T for teen with violence and suggestive themes. Let me check the rating summary. Frenetic combat, cries of pain, female warlords expose cleavage.
Maybe the other one's better.
The rating summaries are free. Use them, and you'll be armed with the world's most powerful weapon, knowledge.
For more information, go to esrb.org.
We're all familiar with footage of hordes of paparazzi chasing a celebrity for a quick glimpse of their real-life persona. And the Mastercraft X-Star is like that celebrity, taking all the attention and all the infatuation gracefully in stride. No other boat on the water anywhere on the planet has such a fan following, or is so worthy of the praise. The X-Star is everything you could possibly want in a wakeboard boat. Cool, fast, spacious, with world-renowned wakes revered for their consistency, smooth approach, thick launch pads, and soft peaks. That's why it's won Writer's Choice Awards for an amazing 7 years in a row. It's pulled more world champions and official 1080s than any other boat. It's complete with an optional Zero Flex 5P tower and your choice of paparazzi.
Man, that was smooth, man. You're a smooth guy, Garfield. You're like a taller, better-looking James Earl Jones. How about that? No, that's very nice. Tell me about how does an ad like that come together? Yeah, I mean, I think people would love to hear, like, are you in a studio, or how does it all work? How did that all come together?
Well, that particular ad is the production company is on the West Coast, and the voiceover is actually from the East Coast. What most voice guys do, and I should say voice women do, we're called voices. We operate usually out of a studio. And
so you record on the East Coast for something that gets put together on the West Coast?
Yeah, certainly. A lot of times, you're the voice. You're going to record to a studio where they're going to put it together. They're going to put the music. They're going to put the sound effects. And you can do this with the wonders of communication. Like I had mentioned, sometimes voice over IP, sometimes ISDN, sometimes a simple MP3 file that gets sent. All of these different methods are kind of the communication to the production house. So in that particular case with that Mastercraft ad, I was actually at home, in my studio at home, and we did that via ISDN to a studio on the West Coast. Okay.
Well, that's very cool. Now, where did that run? Where does that run? Do you get to keep track of where it runs, or do you get compensated based on how many times it runs? Like, how does that all work?
Yeah, that actually, depending on, in this particular case, Mastercraft is a worldwide company, and it's an international company. So a lot of times the actual compensation is going to be bought out. It's a very distinct product. So they might use it. In this particular case, what they were doing is they used this on their DVD, and Mastercraft actually. Every year they come out with a DVD because, again, every year they come out with different boats. So this particular ad was going to be on their DVD for the different styles of boats that they have. So they'll have the X-Star, they'll have the X55. This was going to be associated with that X-Star line of boats, and it's going to be on their. It was going to be on their actual